Xiao Yan and his wife, Xun'er, successfully thwarted a surprise attack by two members of the Soul Clan under the Heavenly Dome, severely injuring one of them. Picking up from the last chapter, Xiao Yan's gaze swept over the surrounding peaks. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed. In the direction he was looking, three figures in black robes were suspended in the void. Brother Xiao Yan, be careful of the leader of the Soul Clan. He is quite famous among the younger generation of the Soul Clan and very difficult to deal with. He may also be one of the people who entered the Heavenly Tomb this time. If you encounter him inside, be extra vigilant, Xun'er whispered softly into Xiao Yan's ear. Xiao Yan nodded gently, well aware of the formidable strength of the Soul Clan's leader. According to his guess, his power was probably on par with the ancient demon. Xun'er said, the people of the Ling clan from the 8 ancient clans did not come this time. The group in the southeast direction is the Yao clan. Following the direction Xun'er pointed, Xiao Yan saw several figures with a medicinal gourd pattern on their foreheads. Xun'er continued, to the east are the Lei clan, led by the venerable Mr. Mangling. However, he may not enter the Heavenly Tomb. Usually, it is the younger generation of the clan who enter, as the Heavenly Tomb is an excellent place for training. Xiao Yan's gaze shifted again, nodding at the group with lightning marks on their foreheads in the distance. The people of the Yin clan you have already met. To the west are the Shi clan, who, due to their bloodline, can match the top magical beasts of the magical beast world. They are the ones entering the Heavenly Tomb this time. However, except for the Gu clan guarding the Heavenly Tomb, each clan only has 2 spots, Xun'er said with a smile. Xiao Yan nodded gently and was about to speak when he suddenly felt the world around him violently shaking, and a vast and ancient aura slowly permeated from the void. The Heavenly Tomb is about to open. Before the words could be finished, a deafening roar suddenly erupted in the void, followed by a huge spatial crack rapidly spreading across the sky, eventually turning into a 100-zhang-high spatial door. Everyone should be clear about the rules for entering the Heavenly Tomb. Each clan only has 2 spots, and it is strictly forbidden to exceed the limit. The elderly figure of Elder Tongxian appeared in the sky, his gaze sweeping over the surrounding crowd, and said in a flat tone, Brother Xiao Yan, if we enter separately, we will be randomly teleported apart. Xun'er turned her head and said to Xiao Yan with a smile. Xiao Yan nodded gently. He was very unfamiliar with the Heavenly Tomb, and having Xun'er's company would undoubtedly avoid many unnecessary troubles. If the spots have been assigned, then get ready to enter the Heavenly Tomb. Remember that you can only stay inside for 3 years, and the Heavenly Tomb will automatically expel you, Elder Tongxian said again in a deep voice. 3 years are equivalent to half a year outside, Xiao Yan pondered, realizing it was a rare opportunity. The Heavenly Tomb itself was an excellent place for cultivation, and the time was so peculiar. Cultivating for 3 years inside would undoubtedly greatly enhance his strength. Accompanying the opening of the ancient door, several sounds of breaking air suddenly rang out in the mountains and forests, and 4 figures swept across the sky like lightning, then entered the open door in front of everyone. Has the ancient demon of the Gu clan also entered? The ancient demon did not choose to enter the Heavenly Tomb this time, probably closed up, so the elders let the ancient demon replace him. It seems that this failure has hit him quite hard, Xun'er explained softly, then smiled and said, let's set off too. Xiao Yan turned to Xiao Yixian and others and said, I may be in the Heavenly Tomb for a long time this time. If there is anything, you can go back to the Falling Star Pavilion first. Then Xiao Yan and Xun'er looked at each other. Their figures turned into 2 streams of light and quickly flew towards the ancient door. The silent earth suddenly twisted, and then 2 figures holding hands slowly walked out from it. Is this the Heavenly Tomb? Xiao Yan looked around curiously and asked. Xun'er nodded with a smile. It seems that other people have been teleported to other places. The area of the Heavenly Tomb is extremely vast, and it is not certain whether we can meet anyone. Brother Xiao Yan, how deep do you plan to explore? If possible, I want to go to the tomb of my ancestor Xiao Xin, that is, the 3rd layer of the Heavenly Tomb. But it is too dangerous there, and there is no need to rush now. After all, we still have 3 years, Xiao Yan said after pondering for a moment. Xun'er was not surprised by his answer. She knew that since he came here, he would not easily give up exploring Xiao Xin's tomb. Let's set off to the second layer first, which is estimated to take about 4 months. Because the energy in the heavenly tomb is suppressed, we cannot fly for a long time. So most of the journey needs to be on foot, Xun'er said with a smile, looking at Xiao Yan. When arriving at the entrance of the second layer, Brother Xiao Yan, you may be able to reach the peak of the 5-star Dozun, and if you are lucky, it is also possible to reach the 6-star Dozun. Xiao Yan was surprised, and Xun'er smiled and turned her head, her gaze fixed on the misty fog on the right. She slowly raised her jade hand and suddenly clenched it, and the energy in that area quickly gathered, and the fog was dispersed in an instant, and an illusory shadow appeared faintly in Xiao Yan's field of vision. Looking at the illusory figure, Xiao Yan was shocked, and he did not notice the approach of this thing. They can use the energy fog to hide themselves, approach us silently, and launch an attack. Xun'er nodded with a smile, then flicked her jade finger, and the figure twisted instantly, pop, burst open. A thumb-sized stream of light rushed towards Xun'er and was easily caught by her. This is the energy core, which contains extremely pure energy, and it is also what we call a great tonic. Xun'er opened her palm, and a diamond-shaped crystal appeared in her palm. Usually, the energy cores in the heavenly tomb are divided into 9 levels, and the one in my hand now is at most the 2nd level, not too precious. Those high-level ones are all in the depths of the 1st layer of the heavenly tomb, or deeper levels. Brother Xiao Yan, try to hold it and run the skill to absorb it, Xun'er said, flicking the energy core to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan caught it curiously, played with it for a while, and then held it tightly in his palm according to Xun'er's instructions. With the operation of the flame mantra, Xiao Yan's palm suddenly cooled, and then he was surprised to feel a stream of warm and pure energy gushing out from the energy core into his body. What made him even more surprised was that these energies did not need much refining, just running through the meridians for a week. They gradually spread to the whole body, and finally made the internal strength gradually increase. What a magical treasure! After the last wisp of energy flowed into the body, Xiao Yan opened his palm. The energy core had turned into fine dust, and his face also showed a trace of surprise. Seeing this, Xun'er smiled and said, "Come on, Brother Xiao Yan. Let's see who can collect more energy cores in these 3 years." Xiao Yan also smiled, and he was also very curious about how strong he could become in these 3 years. On the vast land filled with mist, there was no trace of life. This silence had been going on for a long time, and suddenly a low-pitched sound of breaking the wind sounded. Following the direction of the sound, you could vaguely see 2 vague figures. Around these 2 figures, there were more than a dozen illusory figures floating. Faced with the energy bodies surrounding them, Xiao Yan couldn't help but smile, then shouted loudly, "Let's do it." Then his figure almost burst out in an instant, and at the same time, a petite figure also rushed in another direction. The low explosion echoed in this area, and after a while, the sound suddenly stopped. The 2 figures gathered again and smiled at each other. Xiao Yan opened his palm, and 5 thumb-sized energy cores appeared in his hand. Xun'er also showed her spoils of war, then she covered her mouth and chuckled, "Brother Xiao Yan, I won again this time." Xiao Yan shook his head with a wry smile. Although the strength of these energy bodies was about the level of 2-star Dozun, but dealing with 5 at the same time was his limit. If facing more, he had to use Do skills, and in such a competition, he naturally was not as good as Xun'er. Xun'er handed all the energy cores to Xiao Yan, her voice soft, "Let's absorb these energy cores first, and I'll guard for you." It has been about 2 months since they entered the heavenly tomb. In these 2 months, they walked on this vast land, and all the energy bodies they encountered were transformed into energy cores in their hands. Therefore, the harvest of these 2 months was quite considerable. Unfortunately, the energy bodies they encountered were not very powerful, so the ones they got were only 2 or 3 levels. At first, these energy cores were still useful, but as Xiao Yan absorbed more and more, the effect seemed to weaken. Soon after, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes. Xun'er asked, "How do you feel?" Xiao Yan frowned slightly and said, "There has been some progress, but there is still a gap to reach the 6-star level. It seems we need to find some higher-level energy cores." Xun'er said with a smile, "We have already approached the middle of the 1st layer of the heavenly tomb, and the energy bodies we will encounter next will be more powerful. If we are lucky, We may even encounter energy bodies above the 6-star Dozun, and the energy cores in their bodies are most suitable for you now. Xiao Yan asked, how far is it to the second layer? Xun'er said, it will take about another month's journey. More than a month? Xiao Yan pondered for a moment, then nodded and looked into the distance, saying, since that's the case, let's continue on our way. Then he strode quickly towards the depths of the heavenly tomb. When Xiao Yan and the other had trekked for about 4 months, they couldn't help but be somewhat astonished when they saw the energy light wall appearing at the end of their sight. Xiao Yan asked, is this the entrance to the second layer? Xun'er looked at the huge energy light curtain in the distance, turned her head and said to Xiao Yan with a smile, Brother Xiao Yan, you are now at the peak of the 5-star, and you may break through to the 6-star at any time. I suggest waiting to enter the second layer after the breakthrough. Hearing this, Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, since that's the case, I will have to let you guard again. As Xiao Yan gradually entered the cultivation state, the surroundings became silent again. However, this silence only lasted for about 2 hours, and Xun'er suddenly opened her eyes, then looked at the northern sky and said lightly, don't hide anymore. Is it so unbearable now? The man in black said, hee, it's really admirable that you are a divine bloodline of the ancient clan, and your perception is really impressive. With Xun'er's cold voice falling, the space in the distance fluctuated, and then 2 figures in black robes slowly walked through the air and landed not far from Xun'er. The leader gently raised his head and revealed a pale young face, which was the Hunya of the Soul Clan. Hunya, you are really bold. Xun'er stared at the Hunya and said slowly. The Hunya said, hee, your identity poses no threat to me, but I am very curious about how the ancient clan will react if you, a member of the divine bloodline, encounter an accident. Hunli, let's kill her together. Hearing this, the man in black next to the Hunya nodded slowly, then he suddenly stepped on the ground, and his figure appeared in front of Xun'er like lightning, and his cold fist directly hit her. Faced with the attack of the Hunli, Xun'er's eyes were cold, and her jade hand instantly penetrated the void, and when the fist was about to hit, she suddenly patted it. The fist and palm collided, and the Hunli's figure retreated 2 steps. Then Xun'er suddenly turned around, her jade hand clenched, the golden flame turned into a whip and shot out of her sleeve, and then the space in the distance fluctuated, and a black chain full of cold air rushed out of the void like a venomous snake, colliding fiercely with the whip. At the end of the black chain, the figure of the Hunya gradually appeared, and a black dragon emerged from its mouth, rushing fiercely towards Xun'er. Just as Xun'er was about to counterattack, a sharp wind came from behind her, and she knew without looking back that it was the Hunli launching an attack again. Faced with the 2 8-star Dozun level strong men, even Xun'er couldn't help frowning slightly. Her handprint quickly changed, and the rich golden flame rolled out of her body, turning into a huge flame hand in an instant, grabbing at the black dragon. Then her jade hand made a seal again, and she punched behind her without looking back. The terrifying wind was like a storm sweeping from the sky, and Xun'er was also shaken back half a step. Xun'er said angrily, Hunya, I see you two don't want to leave the ancient realm alive. I don't have to worry about Miss Xun'er, the Hunya sneered, then suddenly turned his gaze downward. Hunli, go and kill Xiao Yan. I'll hold her off. When she heard the roar of the Hunya, Xun'er's face changed, and she immediately flashed to Xiao Yan's location. But before she could go far, she heard the sound of the wind breaking, and saw countless sharp black chains pouring down like a heavy rain. Faced with the sudden fierce attack of the Hunya, Xun'er had to turn around and fight. The golden flame swept out, and in a series of ding-ding sounds, all the chains were shattered. At this time, the Hunli had quickly rushed to the boulder where Xiao Yan was cultivating, and his actions were also noticed by Xun'er. A cold, murderous intent suddenly appeared in her eyes, and a golden spear full of terrifying energy shot out of her sleeve and rushed straight to the Hunli. Faced with Xun'er's fierce attack, the Hunli was expressionless, as if he had not felt it, and his fist, shrouded in cold fog, hit Xiao Yan without hesitation. He was even willing to be severely injured by Xun'er to take Xiao Yan's life. However, just at this moment, Xiao Yan, who was sitting cross-legged on the boulder, suddenly opened his eyes, with a sneer at the corner of his mouth, and his right palm slapped towards the nearby Hunli like lightning, grand heavenly creation palm. A palm struck out, and a circle of terrifying black halo quickly spread from the palm. The Hunli finally showed a look of horror in his eyes. The dark halo quickly spread from Xiao Yan's palm and collided fiercely with the nearby Hunli. When the black hole halo touched Hunli, a rich black fog doqi erupted on his body surface, but it did not corrode and disappear his body like dealing with the old ghost of picking stars. Obviously, Hunli's strength far exceeded the old ghost of picking stars. Feeling the halo being hindered, Xiao Yan's eyes revealed a trace of coldness, and the doqi in his body was like a flood, all poured into the dark halo. With the injection of doqi, Hunli's blood surged, and a mouthful of blood was sprayed out, and his body flew backward like a broken kite. Xiao Yan said, "Since you have made a move, then leave your life." Xun'er was also surprised by this sudden change, but seeing Xiao Yan safe and sound, she breathed a sigh of relief. Her beautiful eyes scanned Hunli, who was injured and flying backward, and with a light shake of her jade hand, the spear enshrouded in golden flame pierced through the void like lightning, fiercely stabbing towards Hunli. However, at the moment when the golden spear was about to hit Hunli, a fierce gust of wind suddenly erupted and impacted him, slightly deviating his body trajectory. The head that should have been hit turned into the shoulder. With a puff sound, the powerful force instantly penetrated his body, flying him out and finally nailing him heavily to the ground. A dark figure quickly swept over, and the Hunya looked gloomily at the blood-stained Hunli, and without hesitation, he waved his knife and cut off his left arm. It had been eroded by the golden flame, and if it was not removed, it would eventually turn into smoke. "Xiao Yan, you are ruthless. This account will not be so easily settled." The Hunya stared fiercely at Xiao Yan and Xun'er while grabbing the dying Hunli. Xun'er sneered and was about to chase, but saw a rich black fog erupting from the Hunya's body. Countless terrifying soul bodies shot out from it and exploded, and the strong air waves forced Xun'er to step back a few steps. "Escape quite fast." Xun'er frowned slightly, turned her head and looked at the energy light curtain leading to the second layer in the distance. Two figures swiftly glided past, disappearing into the distance. It was clearly the Soul Clan's Hunya and Hunli. Xun'er's gaze shifted away from the energy veil, and she hurriedly turned to Xiao Yan. "Brother Xiao Yan, are you all right?" "No serious harm, just that I've just broken through, and my doqi is not yet stable. I'll recover with some rest," Xiao Yan replied without turning his head. "I almost got tricked by these two jerks. If I meet them again, I'll take their lives," Xun'er said indignantly. "Brother Xiao Yan, rest for a while first, and we'll proceed to the second level once you've recovered." Xiao Yan nodded and then closed his eyes again. Xiao Yan's training lasted for about an hour, after which he slowly opened his eyes again. "Brother Xiao Yan, congratulations, you've advanced to a 6-star dozun. Compared to the ancient demon Hunya, there's still some gap," Xiao Yan responded with a smile. Then his gaze turned towards the distant energy veil. "Let's go. Enter the second level of the heavenly tomb." Xiao Yan stomped on a boulder, and his figure directly glided towards the veil. Xun'er followed closely with a smile. As soon as they emerged from the veil, they heard Xun'er's urgent voice ringing in their ears. "Be careful." The voice had just fallen when a chill rose in Xiao Yan's heart. His figure violently shook, and a residual image appeared on the spot. Just as the residual image took shape, several extremely sharp energy forces swept over like lightning, and the violent power instantly tore the residual image into pieces. Xiao Yan's true body reappeared a dozen meters away. Looking around, he saw about 10 energy bodies emerging out of thin air, all at the level of 5-star dozuns. Facing these powerful energy bodies, Xiao Yan frowned deeply. He had never encountered such a scene where 10 5-star dozun-level energy bodies gathered together in the first level. He didn't expect to encounter such an attack as soon as he entered the second level. "There's residual blood here. Someone deliberately lured them here," Xun'er flickered beside Xiao Yan, frowning and said. "Did Hunya's too do this? Can you sense their aura?" Xiao Yan asked, staring tightly at the surrounding energy bodies. "No, these two are very cunning. They must have lured these energy bodies and then quickly fled," Xun'er shook her head and replied, "Now we'd better deal with these guys first, otherwise, the smell of blood will attract more energy bodies." Xiao Yan nodded solemnly. In less than about 10 minutes, the two of them had dealt with the energy bodies around them. The east side is the direction where the smell of blood disappears, and Hunya's two people are likely to have fled in that direction. As far as I know, the east side is the entrance to the third level. What should we do? Xun'er's beautiful eyes looked towards the eastern horizon, with a touch of cold surging in her eyes. Catch up, these two can't be let go. Since they want to play, I'll play with them to the fullest. Xiao Yan smiled slightly, but that smile was extremely cold. These two jerks not only secretly schemed against them, but also dared to set an ambush here. Xiao Yan couldn't just turn a blind eye. The second level is much smaller than the first. If it goes well, we can reach the entrance of the third level in less than half a month, Xun'er said softly. Xiao Yan nodded. His figure flashed and turned into a blurred figure flying past. In a corner of the vast wilderness, two figures slowly emerged. Their gazes swept the slightly chaotic ground around them, and they both frowned. This is the trace of an 8-star energy body. It seems to have been killed by Hunya's two people. Hunli's strength is obviously fully restored. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been solved so quickly. Xiao Yan picked up a handful of soil, rubbed it, and said calmly, "A dozen days are enough for him to recover from his injuries, but the broken arm cannot regenerate, and the combat power is naturally weakened a lot," Xun'er said softly, vigilantly looking around. "According to the time, we should be close to the entrance of the third level. I want to see where these two guys who have been running for more than 10 days can run to." Xiao Yan stood up with a sneer and said, "The number of high-level energy bodies in this area is increasing, and the 8-star energy bodies that were rarely seen before can also be encountered occasionally. Moreover, in the northeast direction, I feel a vague energy pressure." Xiao Yan's gaze turned to the northeast, his brow slightly wrinkled and said, "An energy body that can make us feel a bit of pressure. Huh, brother Xiao Yan, it seems to be a big fish. Should we take action?" This 9-star energy body contains a 9-level energy core, which is very attractive to both of them. How could we not take action? Xiao Yan's gaze turned to the distance and said with a smile, "Let those two guys run first. There will be a day to meet again." Xiao Yan turned around and quickly glided towards the direction of the energy pressure. The second level is much smaller than the first, and if all goes well, we could reach the entrance to the third level in less than half a month, Xun'er said softly. Xiao Yan nodded and, with a flicker of movement, became a blurred silhouette as he sped away. In a secluded spot on the vast wilderness, two figures gradually materialized. Their gazes swept over the disarrayed ground around them, and they both frowned in unison. These are the traces of an 8-star energy entity. It seems Hunya and his companion were the ones who killed it. Hunli's strength must have been fully restored, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to resolve it so swiftly. Xiao Yan picked up a handful of soil, crumbled it in his hands, and spoke indifferently. A dozen days are sufficient for him to heal his wounds, but his severed arm cannot regrow, naturally weakening his combat prowess considerably, Xun'er said softly, vigilantly scanning the surroundings. By our calculations, we should be nearing the entrance to the third level. I'm curious to see where these two fugitives, who have been on the run for over 10 days, can possibly escape to. Xiao Yan stood up with a cold smirk and said, "The number of high-level energy entities in this area is increasing, and the 8-star energy entities that were once rare are now occasionally encountered. Moreover, in the northeast direction, I sense a subtle yet powerful energy pressure." Xiao Yan turned his gaze towards the northeast, his brow lightly furrowed as he said, "An energy entity that can exert a bit of pressure on us both. Brother Xiao Yan, it seems we found a big catch. Should we take it on?" This 9-star energy entity contained a level 9 energy core, which was extremely enticing to both of them. How could we not take it on? Xiao Yan's eyes turned towards the horizon as he said with a smile, "Let those two escape for now. There will be a day when we meet again." Xiao Yan then turned and swiftly glided towards the direction from which the energy pressure emanated.